Welcome to your night's closure, your sanctuary of calm. No images, no noise, just my voice, guided by intentionally crafted phrases and insights, gently sharing affirmations and stories for your quiet mind. So lie back, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and allow peace to unfold naturally as you rest. If this space speaks to you, like and subscribe now. Or if you're already deep in focus, let it wait. Come back when the moment feels right. She craved validation. Your warmth became her mirror. Affection felt conditional. Trust grew fragile. Everything looked like proof of her worth. In the silence after a charged evening, you replay each glance and touch. Her laughter still hangs in your mind. At first, her smile seemed like sunlight, warm, bright, alive. Her words wrapped around you, making you believe you were truly seen. But over time, a subtle pattern emerged. When you praised her gifts or made her feel special, she lit up, a rush of joy flooding her presence. Yet when your own vulnerability surfaced, when you needed comfort, her attention faded. A polite nod, a quick smile, then distance. The mirror cracked, and the warmth receded. Your inner awareness notices these shifts, tracking moments that brought her joy. But when you sought comfort, her warmth receded. In those gaps, you sensed her worth depended on how you elevated her, not on mutual care. Think back. Have you ever felt invincible under someone's gaze, only to feel small when that gaze turned away? These experiences follow unspoken expectations, scripts formed by early patterns, where praise and neglect taught the mind what to expect from connection. Consider David's journey. In Lena's presence, he felt alive. His kind words and admiration fueled her. But the moment he opened up about his fears, she withdrew, as though his vulnerability threatened her sense of value. He began to perform, crafting moments he knew would spark her praise, hoping to keep that mirror shining. As performance took over, David lost touch with himself. He wondered, was my kindness genuine, or was it just a way to earn her approval? Was my creativity a passion, or merely an offering to maintain her interest? In realizing this, he saw the difference between being loved for who he truly was and being used to bolster someone else's ego. Pause now. Breathe in and out. Notice any stirrings in your chest. Perhaps a memory of praise, perhaps a pang of confusion. You are safe to feel it all. These reflections are guideposts showing where old patterns run deep. David's turning point arrived one evening when Lena's phone buzzed. He watched her face glow as she read a new message, another admirer praising her. In that moment, David recognized the truth. She loved how he made her feel, not who he was. His role had become a mirror, and her sense of worth depended on whichever reflection shone brightest. Here's where new possibilities arise. Those same tendencies that drove David to seek approval can gently shift toward authenticity. He affirmed, "I deserve love for who I am." As he let tears flow, he felt a gentle calm, safety in self-compassion. Speaking his truth to Lena, he reclaimed his peace. New patterns took root, from craving praise to honoring authenticity. As you rest here, imagine tracing those patterns in your own mind. Notice where you seek reflection and where you withhold your true self. Sense the difference in your heart between chasing approval and sharing vulnerability. Affirm softly, "I deserve love that sees me, flaws and all. I release the need to perform for another's worth. I honor my authentic self above all. I am enough without constant praise. I welcome relationships rooted in kindness." Let these words settle within you. Your mind naturally integrates what serves your calm. breathe deeply now and feel the solidity in your chest of choosing truth. You are safe. You are worthy. You are becoming more fully yourself with each breath. When you are ready, the path will continue, guiding you toward deeper wholeness and balance. When love becomes more about how we make someone feel than who we truly are, distance doesn't erupt. It drifts in, quiet, polite, almost imperceptible. Not through arguments, but through the steady withdrawal of unspoken truths. Not through rejection, but through the gentle reward of performance. At first, you don't call it distance, you call it connection. Because being praised still feels like being loved. Aiden was drawn to Maya's energy from the start. She lit up in a way that made him feel important. When he shared insights, she leaned in. When he took charge, her eyes followed. He had always felt invisible growing up, so her attention filled something he didn't realize was still hollow. With Maya, he could feel the warmth of admiration without ever naming what he needed. It was enough at first, just to be seen shining. But over time, the pattern emerged. It wasn't what she gave. It was what she withdrew. When his voice softened, she didn't lean in. When uncertainty edged into his words, her gaze shifted elsewhere. When he sought comfort without polish, she offered presence, but not depth. And in those small absences, he began editing himself. Not because she demanded it, because something inside him learned, be impressive and you'll be safe. Be unsure and you'll feel alone. It's a rhythm many of us know. The high that comes from being validated, followed by the quiet ache when that validation fades. You try again. Smile more. Offer the right thought. Laugh at the right time. Be helpful, intuitive, light-hearted. Anything to keep the spotlight from dimming. You start to mistake effort for connection, performance for belonging. Lucas knew this rhythm too, though he didn't name it until much later. Serena was kind, gentle even. She spoke words of appreciation, often. But Lucas began to notice that her love gravitated toward a version of him that didn't exist all the time. The version who had answers, who kept his emotions in order, who could lift her moods but never quite reveal his own. He wasn't pretending exactly, but he was curating, filtering. He didn't want to be a burden, didn't want to complicate a good thing. So he became more agreeable, more optimistic, more self-contained, and in doing so, less visible. Until one evening, without planning to, he let the truth come forward. They were sitting in the quiet, not arguing, not distant, but not together either. And he simply said, "Sometimes I don't feel known by you. I feel useful, but not felt." It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't a plea. It was a thread of truth finally allowed to be heard. Serena looked at him, blinked, and didn't say much in response. And that silence, however loving, confirmed something he had sensed for a long time. She liked the version of him that didn't need to be known. He didn't blame her. He didn't judge himself. But something inside him began to settle. Not in defeat, but in self-respect. He stopped chasing a closeness that required him to disappear. And slowly, peace arrived, not the kind handed to him by someone else, but the kind that grows when you stop apologizing for your truth. There's a moment like that for many of us, when we realize the closeness we long for cannot be built on half versions of ourselves. And we begin, carefully, quietly, to choose presence over performance. This isn't a sudden shift. It doesn't need to be loud, but it is powerful, because the desire to be admired is human, but the longing to be met, as we are, is deeper than any spotlight. And sometimes it's in letting go of that spotlight that we finally come home. So pause here. Breathe into your own presence. Let yourself reflect, not to analyze, not to judge, but simply to notice. Have you ever dimmed your needs to stay desirable? Have you ever adjusted your truth to stay wanted? If so, you're not broken. You were surviving. And now, perhaps, you are ready to shift. Not to prove anything, but to release the parts of you that never wanted to perform in the first place. That's how renewal begins, not by forcing change, but by listening gently to what was always true underneath the applause. So now, if it feels right, affirm with me. I am allowed to be loved even when I am not impressive. I release the need to perform for closeness. I offer my truth without apology. I welcome the slow return of my full self. I belong to spaces that hold the whole of me. Let each word rest, let them echo inward. No need to chase insight, no need to rush the process. Let your chest rise with gentleness. Let your presence soften without needing to explain why. You are not behind. You are not too much. You are arriving, moment by moment, into something quieter, softer, more whole. And still, there's a part of you that wonders, what would it feel like to stop rehearsing? To say something clumsy and still feel loved? To let silence exist between words without rushing to fill it? You remember moments, too small to name but too deep to forget, when your truth rose like a fragile note, only to be folded back in, too uncertain to sing. Not because anyone silenced you, but because somewhere, applause became a substitute for safety. And now, the absence of it feels like exile. This isn't about blame. This is about noticing. Because when you notice, something shifts. Not all at once, but gradually, like a curtain gently lifting to let in a different kind of light. Lucas, in his quiet apartment, once believed love was earned through usefulness. That if he anticipated Serena's every need, stayed agreeable, stayed soft, he'd be chosen again and again. But he never quite felt chosen. It was only after her silence echoed louder than her presence that he sat on the floor and said out loud, "I don't want to be a performance." And in that small sentence, something opened. A space where needs weren't liabilities, where honesty wasn't danger. A space where he didn't need to win affection, just to return to his own. Aiden, too, once believed he had to be a constant spark. Maya loved his energy, his ambition, his shine. But when his fears surfaced, when he no longer had words polished and ready, he saw her eyes flicker. Not cruelly, just distant, dimming. And in that dimness, he felt something leave, so he stopped speaking. He shrank, just enough to stay near, just enough to stay wanted. But his voice, it missed him. And in time, Maya noticed. She noticed the way his laughter no longer lingered in the room, the way he deferred to her, then disappeared. And slowly, without drama, she began listening differently. Not to what was said, but to what was left unsaid. That's how renewal begins. Not with declarations or perfect boundaries, but with noticing, a pattern, a pause, a hunger you didn't name before. And now you're here, still, breathing, letting these stories surround you. Not to tell you what to do, but to remind you that you are not alone in the quiet ache of being seen. That somewhere inside you is a rhythm that isn't rehearsed, a voice that doesn't need to be edited, just noticed, just met, just welcomed. Affirm with me now, I don't need to sparkle to be loved. I let my truth exist, even when it trembles. I am allowed to speak softly and still be heard. I release the weight of performance. I welcome presence over praise. Let the rhythm of those words settle. No pressure to change. No need to decide. Just the soft knowing that your presence is ready enough. And And even in this moment, as your breath slows and your eyes begin to close, you are not performing. You are simply here. And that is everything. You've done something rare tonight. Not because you fixed anything. Not because you found the perfect insight. But because you stayed. You stayed with the ache, the flicker of longing, the soft hum beneath your practiced answers. You didn't look away from the part of you that wonders what love would feel like if it didn't depend on being impressive, or easy, or endlessly agreeable. You just breathed with it. And sometimes, that's the bravest thing we can do. You may find that the stories of Lucas and Maya linger, not because they mirror your exact path, but because they're quiet turning points. The moments when truth slipped through the cracks of performance are moments you know too. There is no pressure now to perform clarity. Let the questions remain open. Let the rhythm stay slow. There is something holy in allowing yourself to be unfinished. You are allowed to release the script. You are allowed to rest before you explain. Even now, as the room stills and night deepens, your body is listening to a language older than praise. The language of presence, of warmth without effort, of being met without needing to reach. So in this final moment, just breathe. Not to relax, not to become anything, just because you are still here, and you are enough. Let these closing affirmations guide you into stillness. I am safe, even when I'm uncertain. My worth is not something I earn, it is something I remember. Love does not require a mask. In silence, I find myself. I rest in the truth that I am already whole. Let those words echo quietly. Let the night carry them. There is nothing more to fix, nothing more to prove, nothing more to say. Only rest, only breath, only you, returning gently to yourself. Let sleep come if it wishes. Let peace unfold without effort. And if you wish to stay here longer, let this space hold you, softly, completely, without condition. Good night. You are already home.